us alive.
All right. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the MulletCast, the podcast where business and pleasure collide. My name is Evan Balmer.
What's going on? It's Mike Marcia.
What's happening, Mike?
What's up?
Today we are joined by Sloane Davis.
Hello.
Sloane, what's happening? Sloane is the owner of Building Interiors, which is actually spelled BLDG Interiors. Building Interiors is a design studio for residential, commercial, and stagings. Check them out online at bldginteriors.com and on Instagram at BLG Interiors. What's happening, Sloane?
Not much. Thanks
up?
for having me.
You got it. Let's get this out of the way right off the top. You asked yesterday, we were talking about scheduling your podcasting time, and the area of utmost concern to you was about your choice of colorful language and whether and whether or not certain words were prohibited from the MulletCast. And I did tell you, you're welcome to say whatever you want and curse, but there is a swear jar that every time you curse, you need to kick some cash into. So I think you wanted to take care of that right off the top of the show.
Yeah, I figured I would just bring a money gun instead. So
Let's see it.
we'll just make it rain.
Sweet.
I will keep it
PG-13.
PG-13-ish, but
All right,
just
sweet.
in case, I wanted to make sure everyone was compensated for
Just in case one
my discrepancies.
right, in case one slips by, right?
I love this.
Now, how is it you were so instantly familiar with money guns, actually?
This is going to be a great podcast.
So I actually went to a bachelorette last weekend, or perhaps maybe 2 weekends ago, but it was my first time in Atlantic City, and we were going to like a male show.
Right.
So we,
Is that what they're called?
yeah,
Is that like Dean Martin kind of thing? Like-
yeah, with like less clothes.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So the bride actually bought about like 8 of these money guns, which we were all responsible for filling with our own singles.
Sweet.
So we used some real money, but they were the highlight of our evening.
How much cash could one of these fit?
I mean, I didn't really try it. I was trying to be sparing with my dollar bills, yo.
It really
Right,
shoots like.
Yeah. It looks like maybe there's a little bit of a clog happening in there now.
Oh,
Which
that's
could-
dangerous.
yeah.
Did you get a clog when you were at the male
No,
show?
it was free flowing when I went up
Right.
there.
Free flow.
Now, did
Everything
you,
was free flowing.
Did you blast it the same way you did here?
No, I was a little bit more sparing with my pull of the trigger, if you will. It was just a delicate tap here and there.
Like so many jokes right now about
Right.
where you were.
So you could like literally shoot out one at a time. You were shooting like
Yeah,
singles.
it was like
boom.
psst, one. Keep dancing.
Did you shoot it yet?
I haven't shot this yet. This is
You got
pretty
to
sweet.
curse and then shoot it.
Yeah. It's really
That
enjoyable.
really
That really goes.
That
I
is
mean, it's
funny.
really, there's nothing like it.
Yeah.
Now, where did you score this for people?
Oh, it's
watching?
actually from Five Below.
Okay.
This one is gifted. This one's actually gifted to the MulletCast, so this will remain here
is
It's gonna get
awesome.
some serious
long
use.
after I leave. So everybody in the future,
That's really fantastic.
you should actually make them fill it with real money, though.
That would be cool. So now we've got a couple things that stay behind at Shared Universe Podcast Studios. We have the mullet, it was on a Christmas decoration today, which was sweet, and now we got a money gun.
I also brought you guys some cookies.
That's
Oh.
sweet.
Those are homemade.
Nice.
Really?
That's from our family's cookie weekend. It's a
Really?
long, long tradition.
Nice.
No, nice.
Yeah, I actually tried to escape
Wow.
it last year. My
Should
grandmother
have
keeps a diary of all the cookie weekends.
Really?
And I opened the diary from last year, and the first page says, like, Sloane jumped ship and went to Bali and skipped
No
cookie
way.
weekend. I was like, okay, clearly someone's harboring energy about that.
That's a nice tradition, though, right?
Yeah,
This is
it's
actually,
cute.
it's a very,
Yeah,
I
it's,
wouldn't.
there's some, like,
some
legit
really nice
cookies in
cookies.
there.
Oh, it
Yeah.
actually has candy cane on it.
That's actually my least favorite. I should have maybe
Really?
given you some advice when you dove in there.
What's this
is
one
good,
with
though.
the green
The
center
sandwich one
filling?
is a very popular one. That's called the
Well,
wafer.
Wafer. Yes. So it's so funny. Like you're a very diverse person because I wouldn't expect a lady with the family traditional tin of cookies to bring in her money gun with her as well.
Yeah, I mean, I try to, be a multifaceted person, like an onion,
this right here?
Right.
Like an onion.
That one I've heard very great reviews.
What is it,
for.
though?
There's like raspberry crumb something. I think you just be adventurous and you just try it out.
I'm
That is
allergic
fun.
to raspberry.
That one's a
I
good
don't-
one.
This is a
too.
good one?
Yeah.
All right.
Nice and basic.
That's a good one. All right, so let's you want to stay on the reverse mullet here today?
Yeah, let's have some fun.
All right. So instead of digging right in, usually we kick it off with the business. Do that in the front.
Party. Dessert first.
Let's start with
I love it.
We're gonna pull a reverse mullet today.
Okay, I'm into it.
And we're talking about your pleasurable side.
Okay.
Since we kicked it off with the money gun. So you were at a bachelorette party, but you also are recently engaged, correct?
Oh yes, I am.
How's that going?
It's great. I mean, we are in the thick of weddings right now. We have about 9 weddings next year, so we're in quite a few of them. I was joke with Tim. I'm like, you would wait until we had 9 weddings to go to ask me to marry you, but but it's good. It's good. We're gonna keep it real casual.
Sweet.
So
your engagement though looks quite storybook. Like, how did that happen?
well, for Tim's birthday, I typically try to gift like a little an experience. So we tend to go on trips a lot. So this year we went to France. There's a little surf area that he was dying to surf in. So we went out there and
That's cool.
right out the gate the very first day. On his birthday, he asked me, I'm like, are you really sure you want to do this today? I'm going to make this day all about me now. So it was really fun. Yeah, it was beautiful.
That's a good way to start a vacation.
Yeah, I mean, we lived in a life of excess the entire time after that. So
Right.
I'm still having a really hard time fitting into my pants. But
That's pretty sweet. I can't remember what my wife got me for my birthday last year. I remember we were all hanging around with the kids and my parents were coming over, and I think she booked out to the mall at that point.
Yeah.
I was not on a surfing trip in France, so I can tell you that.
I mean, it's partly beneficial for me too. We get to have an
sweet.
experience.
Right.
And
You're never gonna forget that.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
That's
awesome.
very cool. So you like traveling.
Yep.
What are some of your go-to spots?
Oh, my go-to spots. I don't know.
China.
If
the
I
Great
could,
Wall.
well, China is actually I've gone there for work several times. The first time I went to China's a whole different world,
Right.
literally. And no matter how many places I had been before that, I felt like no one really prepared me for it. So the first time was tough. The second time I went back, I really got to kind of enjoy it and explore it.
Right.
But we've been Tim and I have been to Bali. I really loved there, but I love Europe a lot. The lifestyle there, I'm really into it. It's more laid back. They're really about enjoying life. They work and have it's a nice mix.
Right.
China's not laid back.
No.
The Europeans, I think, have it right because I know I did a lot of work in Europe for a while.
Yeah.
And my first year, we were the angry Americans. We were in Italy in particular. I remember we were there for a couple weeks in the summer, and it's August, and everyone's literally on vacation, and we're where the hell are all these people? We got to work, what's going on?
That's a real thing.
And then you finally realize, man, they put the pleasure first, right?
Right.
It's the reverse
Reverse
mullet.
mullet,
yeah.
Totally, man.
100%.
And they worry about good times and enjoying life, family, all that kind of stuff first, and then work kind of fits around that.
Yeah, and
America has it backwards.
They
man.
also have a good way of dividing it. I think they're not in a hurry to get there, and then they take the time in the middle of the day to go have lunch and enjoy some Here you're I'm gonna go have lunch. You feel pressured to be back by a certain time. I'm just gonna shovel this in my mouth at my desk because someone's gonna give me the stink eye if I'm not.
Right.
So I feel the most relaxed when I come back from there. I'm okay.
Where do you usually go?
I mean, I've been to Italy. I've been to Spain. Barcelona is super cool. France. This was my first time in France. It was cool. I like it all.
Yep.
Anywhere anyone wants to send me, I'm open to adventuring that for you.
Are you gonna do a destination wedding? Are you gonna
probably
keep it local?
I think we might. We're trying.
Yeah.
To go back to where we had gotten engaged and just rent a house.
That'd be cool.
Keep it small and simple.
Get these away.
That's sweet.
I'm literally gonna eat that entire thing, cookies.
No, I think that's cool because now you always have excuses to keep getting back there. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So that was a good move on all parts.
Thanks.
So what else do you do besides traveling? What are you into?
Well, I like to work out. There's always so much crazy going on in our lives, right? We need to take the time for ourselves to exercise the demons, get rid of it. I actually I'm a certified yoga instructor, and I teach a spin class, cycling class. Taught this morning.
Nice.
Did you?
Yeah.
Where at?
I teach at Tandem.
Okay.
They have a studio in Manasquan, and they're rapidly growing. They're opening 2 more locations. I don't know how much I'm allowed to talk about. But
Let her rip. We don't care.
No, I don't know because I don't know how far along.
Hey,
they
Tandem, here.
We need to fill it back up.
Right, totally.
But
Right.
yeah, so I like opportunities to be able to take a little time for yourself.
So how do you get certified as a spin instructor?
So the yoga thing actually happened first.
Okay.
It was something I'd always wanted to do, and a friend of mine, I lived up in Hoboken for like 7 years,
Right.
and a friend of mine and I were kind of like loosely discussing it, and I just like, I'm a big fan of the Band-Aid pull off type of method. Like, I'm like, well, like, fuck it, let's just do it then.
There we go.
I'm gonna try your single.
It's
Oh,
you have
oh,
sparingly.
there.
It's like a little.
Just a tap.
But yeah, I figure like at that point we had, we neither one of us were like getting married or having kids. Like, what's stopping us? Let's do it now. So we did, and it was such a great experience. So then right after I had finished that, I had moved down here, and when I was up in Hoboken, I was doing a lot of like spinning, and I found this studio, and I went to it, and like loved it, and I was like, I wonder if like they'd let me teach here. So I went through like their audition program, and they accepted me, and then I did a certification course for them.
Nice.
So
Do you surf?
no,
No.
I don't. Tim tried to teach me once,
Right.
and it was definitely a hard test to the relationship, but it consisted of this. I got in the water, I got on the board, he turned the board around and said, okay, here comes a wave. I was like, you literally taught me nothing.
Right.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Worst instructor ever.
Right.
I think just because he's done it for so long, he didn't even realize.
So you did not certify him for surfing instruction?
I wouldn't. I think that maybe if he went through like a rigorous program, perhaps maybe he'd be qualified. But he's a great surfer.
Maybe something for the wedding. You never know.
I mean,
My first surfing experience, like I, as a kid, always boogie boarded, and then one day it's like the waves are nice. And I'm like, you know what? I bought a surfboard finally. I'm gonna try to surf, and like I'm always one of those people. What instruction is needed, you just go do it, kind of thing.
right.
And so I went to stand up. The board flew straight up in the air. It came down like the skeg, like hit the top of my foot. So I had like this hole in my foot, and it didn't. It like kind of hurt, but it wasn't like terrible. But I was like, you know what? Like the waves are good. Why am I wasting my time like not enjoying myself? So I just grabbed my boogie board and then I never really tried it again. But
Was this recently?
nah, this was like when I
This
was
was
a kid.
yesterday.
Yeah. Is that the limp that you got going?
No, I feel like because growing up down here, like you grow up at the beach,
Right.
and especially when we were in like middle school and high school, you start like liking boys, and I would let some of them try to teach me, and then I'd be like, I don't like this kid that much. It's like not for me. Like I'll watch from the beach, float in the water, but
Right.
the
Yeah.
surfing just not for me.
Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Wall.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I grew up in Wall. I went to school out in Philly, and then I came back and moved up to Hoboken, and then I moved back down here a little over a year ago.
That's cool. How was Philly for school?
It was interesting.
Yeah.
I do think there's definitely more diversity there, so it was not something I was like well prepared for, if you will, and I really liked that. I had the opportunity, to be in a city and see all of that.
Right.
Philly's a cool town.
I like Philly a lot.
Yeah, it's like a more like laid back version of New York. I wanted to be in like a city, but not like I wanted a campus.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Plus, New York, if you're not familiar, it's a little overwhelming.
Yeah.
Philadelphia's, like you said, lower key.
Yeah, I had actually taken college courses at FIT when I was in high school. I'm pretty sure it's like the only reason I got into college,
Right.
Because I took those classes. But we would go up, a friend of mine and I would go up on Saturdays and take these like college classes while we were still in high school.
That's
that was so cool. But yeah, it was a lot. Like there was no campus, and I felt like that that aspect I really wanted in a school.
So you were interested in design early on?
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
what got you into it?
I think I was just always a really creative person. I always liked putting like things together, whether it was like clothes and outfits or rooms and stuff like that.
Right.
So as I got older, I really thought I was going to go towards like the fashion industry, and then those courses kind of led me in a different direction.
Right.
So I went more of like a business approach in school, but still like always like heavily focused on wanting to be in some sort of creative role, some creative job.
That's cool. So did you pick Hoboken like to get closer to New York? Was that how you ended up there, or was it just?
No, I actually, after I had graduated college, like the second I graduated college, my parents sold the house that I grew up in, and they were like, "We're moving to a retirement community," and I was like, "Are you serious? Like, I'm poor. I just moved home from college, and now I have to move to a retirement community with you?" And they were like, "Yeah, or like move out."
Right.
I'm like, I've literally be home for like a minute. Like, I can hardly even like pay to go to the bar, let alone pay my own rent. So I lived in the retirement community for like a year.
That's the best.
And all these things I really feel like build character.
Yeah,
They really
Yeah.
I mean, that's total motivation to like make some money and get out, man.
fuck
Get
out.
a piece. Yeah, totally. It's really funny. It's like I was at college and my parents were like they were getting ready to move and they sold the house or they listed the house and while they were still looking for a house and the place sold and they didn't think it was going to sell that fast, but they're like, all right, we can't like turn down the sale. So everything progressed so fast, they ended up moving in with my grandmother who lived in a retirement community while they were still looking for the house. Thank God I was at college. My sister was still in high school.
Oh, my God.
So, like, I came home for Thanksgiving. I'm like, oh, my God, this is insane.
Insane.
Yeah, right?
I was most pissed about like how far it was away from like the bars that I was going to. I was like, the old people I can handle, but
right.
like how far that cab ride's gonna be now.
Hey, don't knock it until you play some
I
shuffleboard and
was
hit
just
the
gonna
mixer
say,
right
No,
after.
I hit that shuffleboard hard and their pool. But I would like wake up in the morning and like walk out to my car and there would be like notes on it, like
Right.
your license plate is missing the fourth screw.
Yeah,
Love
there-
like
Oh, really?
from like the GB security,
Right.
the Greenbrier security. I'm like, oh,
That's
okay.
funny, man. So that yeah, retirement
that's
communities
intense.
like people they have a lot of time on their hands, right? Most of the time, most people are looking out their windows
Yeah.
and observing what everyone else is doing wrong, right?
Yeah.
So my dad's biggest downfall, my dad had like a phobia of like picking up dog crap, right? And he'd walk the dog, and like everywhere he walked, there were like a million people looking out
Yeah,
their windows, like
they're
making
always
sure this
watching.
guy's picking up.
They have
after
nothing
stuff,
else to
right?
do.
Yeah.
My dad started to try to like fight the system there, and he built like a little side porch there for their
Right.
grill, and that's like
Oh man,
not
Oh,
allowed. If
yeah.
you want to do anything, it has to be approved, and you're not allowed to build anything off of your home.
right,
So they came by and were like, "You have to remove that," and he was like, "Okay," and he just like never did.
right.
And then they started to fine him. He was like,
Yeah.
"You take that down now."
I live in a neighborhood with quite a few older residents,
Yep.
and we're doing our kitchen. Everyone knows, and I would walk to my car. Oh, they actually asked yesterday if they could come in and look at the end result. I was like, I got the permits, I did everything right, but they're just curious to see what's going on in it.
Hey
Yeah,
Mike,
so-
how's it going? So you happy with the white tile?
Yeah,
Like, what are you
yeah,
talking
yeah.
about?
Oh, if you don't mind, I'd love to.
How do you
Pop.
know?
She said, if you don't mind, I'd love to pop in one day just to see what it looks like. Okay,
It's-
sure.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
HOA living's not for the faint of heart either,
Yeah.
man. It's like, we were blasting out of a condo and like our realtor put a open house sign in the front like lawn and like instantly had a fine. Like people stopped by. You're not allowed to have that sign.
Yeah.
You're like,
People
whoa.
need to say something.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah. It's a control
Um,
thing.
But yeah, so I think the question was, how did I
Don't
end
tread
up
on my
in,
mullet.
in
man.
Hoboken?
Yeah, exactly.
So I had moved out of their house.
Are they still
eventually.
there, by the way?
No,
Or
they've relocated. But I thought, like, for a moment, I thought I wanted to work with kids and like go back to school and be a kindergarten teacher. So I went. My dad was like, "Why don't you go see if you like actually like kids
Right.
before you do that?" So I did, and it turned out like maybe it
You
wasn't
don't like kids?
really for me. So I had met someone, and we moved up to Hoboken together, and up there I really started to get involved more into like the creative industry. I was working for a prop house in New York, and we rented everything for like every TV show, every
cool.
like photo shoot. Furniture would come back and it would have like tags on it that said like girls. Like it just came back from like the set of Girls, like Law and Order. Everything. It was giant space, and then we also had a warehouse space too. So you're working with like a lot of event coordinators or a lot of like, set decorators and things like that. And I really I liked it a lot. Like I didn't particularly like my function there. So the company was having like some financial setbacks and they started letting people go. And it was kind of like, last in, first out. And I ended up losing my job.
Right.
So I, at that point, kind of like, ended a relationship. I was relocating, was trying to find my own apartment and like trying to figure out my job. And I just figured anything creative that came my way, I wouldn't turn down.
Right.
And I started taking on like all these different types of roles. I was doing art direction for commercials. I did like a Maybelline commercial. I did a lot of interior design work, a lot of furniture restoration. I would get hired to like repaint tables that were going to be like VC's desks in Chelsea. They'd be like, here's the keys for the weekend. I'd go and like paint vintage tables for like the entire weekend, just like listen to music. And,
that's cool.
Yeah.
So all these different things were self-taught, or
Yeah, they're like, can you refurbish these antique tables? And I'm like, sure.
Yes.
And you're just
Let
like,
me Google that shit.
yeah.
But I was like slinging gallons of paint through the city. Like my father for Christmas bought me like a dolly. I'm like, life is really not turning out how I planned here. But
Someone's on the good list.
Santa doesn't want you to have any back problems this year.
Totally. So is this like the launch of Building Interiors?
Yeah.
At that time?
Yeah. So Building Interiors wasn't always Building Interiors. It was actually AQP Creative. AQP was because I was 25 at the time, so it was like a quarter past.
I like that.
People are like, "Oh, you're expecting that you're gonna live to 100, huh?" So I'm like, "Oh, that's cute." And at the time, a lot of my friends too were kind of going through this like weird, like quarter life crisis type of thing, and we had talked about doing a blog together. This was like the beginning of like the blogging thing, and we were gonna call it like something about a quarter past or a quarter life crisis or something, and they just like really were dragging their feet. So I'm like, screw you guys, I'm gonna just do this on my own. So I just went for it, and it really started as more of like a DIY blog. Like I did a lot of like home restoration type of stuff. Like how to make West Elm looking curtains, but for like $10, and those types of things. And then I just started getting design jobs, and I kind of met like the right people in business in the town, and a couple brokers that I worked with started referring me for jobs. And yeah, it kind of took off that way.
That's cool.
Nice.
And then, I mean, I've seen on your Instagram you've done a lot of design work for like storefronts or businesses in Hoboken, right?
Yeah. So I kind of, while I was in the midst of doing all this like creative stuff, like anything that really kind of came my way, I was trying to figure out exactly what it is that I wanted to do, whether it was doing production work, working on like set display and set direction, or doing window fronts and doing like store design or homes. I really didn't know what that was. And so I felt like I had the ability to kind of figure that out just through doing it.
Right.
So I would go into like different stores in Hoboken and just say like, hey, would you let me do your window for free?
That's
like
cool.
just so I could so I could build my portfolio.
Yeah.
Right.
That's how I had gotten a lot, like in the beginning, a lot of the like portfolio that I built, I did for free because I just wanted something to show.
Right.
And then I kind of built that, built that brand, and then I was able to charge people. So yeah, some of the window displays I did completely for free. I did some other design work, or I would do like barter stuff, and then I started getting stores, and I had gotten this like acupuncturist office. I got like a bunch of commercial work, and I realized that I really, really enjoyed the commercial design. So yeah.
Now, going door to door and asking to do windows, is that something that you were taught or people do in your industry, or is that just like straight you were grinding?
I think it's just me. I was grinding.
That's
I was
awesome,
like
yeah.
desperate. Like I didn't want to do a job that I hated. I didn't want to, settle. So it was like, all right, it's me. I really had no other choice, right? Like I needed money to live, and
I'm
I
not going
wanted.
back to that retirement.
Yeah.
Thing, damn it. They're gonna make me make Christmas cookies.
yeah.
So yeah, I would just go in. I think for me, I have had experience in sales before that definitely plays a lot into it as well. But just being passionate about something speaks louder to people, you know, and also like free doesn't hurt.
Right.
Yeah.
Price is right.
Price is
Exactly. So you did eventually do a lot of commercial work in Hoboken. So how did you make the leap to, all right, I'm going to leave Hoboken and come to Asbury area?
Oh, okay. Well, that like Tim comes into play there
Gotcha.
because we had been together for a while, and we were kind of trying to figure out. Like, obviously, like, this long distance. It's not like long term to be that far apart from one another.
Right.
And I mean, quite honestly, his like mortgage was a quarter of my rent, so he won the argument. So I moved down here. Yeah, and Asbury just felt right. It felt like there was still a lot of activity going on, a lot of happening, and I'm grateful for that town as my transition, because there, you know, moving from a city, there's certain things that you have to kind of get acclimated to in more of a suburban type area, and I felt like Asbury really had a lot to offer in that sense.
Are there any other towns that you could think of really in the area that have what Asbury has if you were to transition from Hoboken?
I don't know. No, I don't think so.
Really?
Honestly, there's like a rawness. Like, you know, people will say that Asbury's still not safe, and I'm like, yeah, that's the thrill of it all. Like, you can turn the corner and it be like a little shady, and
Makes
I'm
it a
into
city.
that.
Yeah.
I want to be like slightly a little uncomfortable. Can I say that now until something bad happens, and then I'm all, you know, but. I don't think so. There's also such a sense of community in that town that I don't feel exists, and I might be wrong, but you know, from my point of view, I don't feel exists in other places. People are really like voting for the underdog. Like they really want to support local business and, you know, everything that everybody's doing around there.
Right.
Time and time again on the MulletCast, we hear people that work in Asbury say the exact same thing. There's just community pride, and everybody has like this team mentality.
Yeah,
It's awesome.
Yeah,
For
and they're
sure.
kind of like rooting for every other business. Like they don't view each other as, you know, competing. You know?
Exactly.
They're like more figuring out, all right, how do we help each other?
Yeah.
How do I incorporate what you're doing with what I'm doing?
yeah. How do we do this thing together?
Yeah, totally. Like I don't know if that existed in, like, I lived in Jersey City for a while, so I always felt like a Hoboken outsider. Like I'd go there obviously, and so I don't know if there was that same vibe there between businesses or not.
I was lucky enough to like get into a good group of women in business there that I felt were very supportive of one another.
Right.
But that town is a bit different because the majority of the people who live there are working and grinding in the city.
Right.
You know, they just don't want to maybe live in the city.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's a certain amount of people that do care and do support, but like I would say that maybe more of the majority really just don't give a shit.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because I always think about it. Yes, that was like I remember people that were like after college, I'm looking for a job in the city. We can't afford the rents, so we're all going to live in Hoboken. And
Dude, now it's like the same.
Awesome to go out there.
Yeah.
You know, but-
I think Jersey City honestly has a more similar community vibe to Asbury.
Right.
Because it came about in the same way and around the same time.
Right.
So it was like, okay, we're going to build this thing together. We're going to make this a cool place again.
Right.
And, you know, the part that's like farther away from like Newport,
Yeah.
more by like Grove Street and stuff
Right.
like that, I get that same like Asbury feel.
Right. No, it's true. Yeah, I think maybe, and I was only on the periphery of that too, but Brooklyn, like a long time ago.
Long time ago, yeah.
You know, people started like, all right, let's bring this back, and then people were creating unique new businesses, and in a weird way, people are doing like stuff that hasn't been done for a while, right?
Right.
Like it's like, I can't even think of it, like in like a brewery pops up, or
Yeah.
like some artisan food kind of thing,
A butcher
or-
shop.
right?
Yeah.
You know, like
Or just like back to that brick and mortar.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like we got so far away from that and being like coming back to that now.
right.
Yeah.
People care about it.
No,
So now that you're back in Asbury, career-wise, like what's your main focus with BLDG?
So I want to get back into some more commercial stuff. I like commercial design a lot. I mean, I love residential design, but commercial design is like exciting because at the end of the day, it's a business that needs to open, so it makes money, right? Like,
Yeah.
so people are going to make decisions faster. It's also not their home, so they're willing to take more risks and be, you know, more adventurous with design and colors and things like that. When it's someone's home, they're really, really connected to it. They want
Yeah.
it to be like a sanctuary,
Right.
and they kind of overthink it. I think sometimes too.
Probably.
They
yeah.
feel like they're committing like their life to this each design choice they make.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas commercials kind of like, yeah, let's put this neon green wall up. It'll be awesome.
Right.
Yeah.
Next
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Totally.
We're done. Let's move on.
So are there any businesses in Asbury you can talk about that you've worked with where you're because you've done restaurant work, I think, right? Where,
There hasn't been any commercial stuff that I've really done in Asbury
Right.
yet. I've done all the commercial stuff that I've done has been in like Jersey City, Hoboken,
Right.
Manhattan. I love like a cafe or a restaurant.
Mhm.
But office space is huge too, especially now the way that offices are designed. They want to make offices aside from your little cubby hole that you have going on.
Sorry to cut you off there, but
yeah.
I sent her a picture of my my cubicle
Yeah.
or cubby. As
Yeah,
it-
your cubby hole.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, because I had offered in La Tip to help out some people with their office space,
Mhm.
just for fun.
Right.
And
Got a 4x4.
Alessia had actually sent me hers, and then she was like, it was like, for like one day she sent me the picture of what it looked like. The next day it was like she had bought all this stuff. I'm like, okay, well, you don't need me. you have finished this yourself.
You're on the
And
way.
then I'm like, okay, Mike, like, what do you got? And he sends me like a cubby hole. I'm like,
yeah,
That's
it's
oh, wow.
4x4 with a
I-
light.
I don't know
That's
how
it.
we're gonna work with this,
Yeah.
but I did send him a shelf.
Yeah.
Did you buy that?
No.
Yeah.
no.
I also like
still the
strongly.
I would have given him an Office Space DVD, and then just like drill out the screws and the thing falls
No, I
down,
should have
you
given
know?
him a listing to a commercial space that was available.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
You said more green. That's
Yeah, you need some green.
I need some
You
green.
need some green.
It's
in
a lot.
that
It's a lot of
space.
gray,
Yeah, it's like it's like
beige and gray.
it's very meh.
So you
Yeah.
can go to like Target and get those like $10 Christmas gifts, like the executive dartboard, and
Yeah.
like put it on the side there, like
Yeah. I gotta
The
do
back of
something.
the door,
a little pool table.
mini putting green.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Those are
yeah.
sweet.
The cubby behind me is empty, so maybe I could use that.
Yeah, just
So-
knock it down.
So what's throw a freebie out there to the mullet listeners? Like, what do you do if that's your work environment? Like, what's one simple thing you can do to spruce it up?
Well, I think that you have to bring some element of life into it. I mean, there's not even like a freaking picture in Mike's cubby hole.
It's not that bad. It's not that bad.
Yeah, okay. But there's of course like certain things that you can't control. Like, okay, maybe you don't have a window in your
Sure.
office. Like you can't like move closer
Yeah,
to
right.
anything. But putting some things in there that make you happy, like some photos of something, maybe like a saying, some greenery
Right.
is really important, to remember that there is life outside of the four walls of
That's
where
a
you're
good one.
working. And then something I personally love to put something that maybe I'm motivated or, wanting to work towards, or maybe if it's like a trip or something, like, put a
Right.
picture of that up.
I got a couple
cool.
pictures in there now. I'm gonna show you a picture.
Okay.
So
take a minute.
otherwise, if that's not what you're working with, like you like working, you said industrial space. So what's is that what you would think is like kind of the most exciting for you working wise, is coming in with someone like developing a new space?
Yeah, that would be cool. I
Yeah.
haven't done that yet. I do, I've done some work in the past where, like renovation type work where customers just want to just completely redo a space. The commercial, like industrial side, I think there's a lot that could happen still in Asbury.
Right.
So that's definitely something I would be really interested in getting involved in.
Yep. I think that would be cool. I mean, there's some cool spots I think of, like you've been in Capitol Line.
Yeah.
Like, I love how they pull like pieces of other buildings like that are non-existent. Like, they have a little map and says like, oh, here's where all the weird stuff in
Yeah.
here is. Like the door to the kitchen's like I think like a commercial washing machine door.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's really cool.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, it's awesome.
sweet.
Like, so it has like the big round thing you would see like on a washing machine. It's like the glass to look in.
Yeah, I feel like
The door.
most of the time I'm in there, I'm like just like trying to get to the Bond Street
Right.
bar, and I'm just
Exactly.
like,
Oh, this is a
where's my
thoroughfare.
drink? Where's the bar?
Right, how do I get to where I'm really supposed to be?
Is that your go-to, Bond Street?
No, but I like it.
Yeah.
It especially if it's like dark and you want to just
Sit and have a beer and
Yeah. grimace in the corner.
yeah. Just the one wooden table. I love that spot.
and then walk alone and feel that element of danger.
Yeah. Like around those like sketchy corners
Right,
where you're like,
totally.
"Might be getting jacked here." I
May
just like,
get
I want to live on the
stabbed.
edge. I want to live on the edge, guys.
Yeah.
You know.
That's funny. All right, so what else do you want to bring? Did you find your pictures? We were killing
know what?
time
I'll
looking
take
for
one when I
your,
get back to the
your cubby
office.
pictures. So what else do you do personally, professionally? Anything you'd like
Well,
to?
I have another job.
What's that?
I import furniture.
Okay.
That job came when I was, trying to pay my bills and giving all of my design services for free.
Right.
So
Someone said, "Hey, do you import furniture?" And you're like,
no,
"Yes,
I
I
was
do."
like, it's time that I get something that generates a steady income because I'm gonna, live this dream on the side, and I need to make sure I can pay my bills and sleep at night.
Right.
So I went on. Craigslist at the time was a reputable place to find a job. And this was about 7 years ago. And there was this guy, he had just started this company. The office was around the corner from my crappy little studio apartment.
Right.
And I met with him. And he was like, yeah, I just started this company. We're going to import furniture and we're going to sell it to retailers and to the trade, like designers and architects and stuff. And I was like, okay, cool. Like I'm in.
Right.
And I really fell in love with the job and being, he's like my family now. We've grown this thing. And it played really well, hand in hand with what I was doing. So I was designing commercial, restaurants and cafes or office spaces, and then using all the furniture that we import for those spaces.
Right.
So I still full time love that job as well, and it's really cool to kind of also have the opportunity to be in the design but be removed from it in the sense of I don't have to make the decisions, but I'm sourcing all this furniture for them.
Right.
So it's nice balance.
And now you've done some furniture work for restaurants in Asbury, right?
Yeah, so the furniture that we import has been it's at Tallulah's, Modine, and then there's also Bonnie Reed, and there's another restaurant he owns, but he just opened Farmley in Seagirt off 35. We've got some chairs in there. So yeah, cool. I think it's cool to spread that around Asbury and all the areas down here.
That is cool.
But yeah, that company, we sell all over the country. I travel quite a bit for that because I'm meeting with the architects and the design firms that are specifying it. But Twitter, Uber, Facebook, all those offices have our furniture, so it's really cool.
And now, do you do only large scale, or if somebody wanted to get a chair for their condo? Is that something?
Yeah, no, we sell also residentially. We sell retail. We sell on Wayfair, Y Living, all those e-retailers, and then what's left of the brick and mortar retailers also.
Right.
So yeah.
So do you put are you trying to find what the new trend will be, that kind of stuff, or are you just looking for exactly what people are trying to find? You source it for them.
So basically, what we do is we kind of partner with these brands all over the world, all different manufacturers. We have manufacturers in Turkey, Croatia, Portugal, Italy, and China.
Right.
And in the beginning, it was finding these brands that were all original designs, contract grade furniture that didn't exist here. No one was distributing it to the U.S. So we find these brands and then we partner with them. So we become their exclusive distributor for North America and are the only place that people can get them in the U.S. So at this point, we've kind of we're right around our max of our manufacturers. So we stock product, but then we also order, special order. We have customers Topgolf is one of our best customers. They've specified all of the furniture for the locations and then standardized it. Right. So every time they open a new location, they order the exact same thing.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's wild.
Right.
Especially the last year, they grew like crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really cool. Even sometimes when you don't even realize where it's going, and then I'm in a restaurant or a hotel, and I'm like, oh my god, those are our chairs.
Right.
I stayed at a hotel in Miami that I constantly go back to every time I'm down there because I just like it. And they were renovating. One time I went. The next time I went, I walked in the lobby, and the entire restaurant was all of our chairs. I'm like, that's crazy.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's so cool.
That is cool.
I mean, I didn't personally design them, so I can't take the credit. But I had like to think that I had something to do with them winding up there.
Totally. Yeah.
Take credit.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I'm like,
Fuck
those
it.
are my chairs. Although I personally know the designer who did them, and those are actually her chairs.
Hey, you're like a tastemaker for the cool spots to hang out
yeah,
at, right?
yeah.
I like Tallulah's they have a nice look in there. The place is cool.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, and the pizza is killer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tim actually threw my 30th surprise party there.
Oh yeah.
I do not like a surprise at all. So I walked in and immediately tried to walk back out.
Did you really?
But he was behind me, so there was like a hard stop to that. I ended up getting so drunk because I was so uncomfortable that I Irish goodbye'd my own 30th birthday party.
Really?
Yeah, my mom outlasted me. There's like pictures of my mom like partying and all of like the little pose, like little like frames that they made.
Yeah.
And there's not like one picture of me.
Are you
There's one picture of
serious?
me shoving popcorn in my mouth
Yeah.
at Little Buddies. I
Yeah.
think to like maybe hopefully stop what was about to happen, but I didn't make it. Yeah.
So why is it you don't like?
Yeah, I was just gonna ask, what's wrong with the surprise?
I don't know. I don't like to be the center of attention.
Right.
Which is funny because I really enjoy like, teaching spin class and yoga, but that's not about me. It's
That's
really
like
what I can
instructing,
offer
yeah.
other people.
Right.
So when it's about me, I'm like, oh my God, like I'm panicking and then I just drink,
Okay.
So it never really turns out so well. So that's why I'm figuring maybe when we get married, I should just do it alone, not risk the Irish goodbye on my own wedding.
That's pretty killer.
You can't do that.
Yeah. So
But you
that's
could
why-
get hammered at your
Well,
own
that's why
wedding.
we're just gonna have like 10 people there, you
Yeah.
know.
Right.
So it's like keep it cash.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll just
Super
like
cash.
drink half the amount.
Yeah.
You should just load up this cash gun with like photos of yourself in the space.
Yeah.
Just go in, blow them around, and get out.
Funny as
Yeah, yeah, that's it. Blow my guns
Right,
and be like,
totally.
peace out.
Boom.
That's
I'm
it.
out. That's cool. So, are you? Is the wedding on the horizon for 2019? Or are you waiting until those 9 other weddings you're involved in? Or
No, so
over?
we, I operate well under pressure.
Okay.
So we're gonna do it next year. There's like very limited weekends that we
Right.
have left because of it, so it makes the decision process quite easy.
That's cool.
And yeah, hopefully go back to France, do the damn thing,
Nice.
come back and party.
That's awesome.
Was that a Bachelor reference I picked up?
Was it?
I don't know. Let's do this damn
Do the
thing.
Let's do the damn thing.
Yeah, that was uncovered on early MulletCast. That's my secret passion is watching The Bachelor and The Bachelorette.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. It's like a hidden little
I'm
secret.
shocked at that.
Yeah.
It's not so secret anymore.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. Yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah.
All right, Sloane, thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you
Thank
for
you for the
bringing in the
gun.
money
You're
gun.
so welcome.
Yeah,
That is
Sweet.
definitely sweet. Once again, check out Sloane at bldginteriors.com, at BLDG Interiors on Instagram for all of your residential, commercial, and staging needs. We didn't talk about staging. Real quick, you want to throw out a staging story? You do like home stagings for like sales, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, for like for realtors and
Okay.
stuff. So it actually again kind of plays back into Nuans, which is the company that we import the furniture with.
Right.
We have done staging through that, so because we have the furniture.
Gotcha.
So it's just like a rental type of deal where we stage the property for you and take it back when you're done.
That's cool.
Nice.
Awesome. So
So at my personal Instagram too,
Mm-hmm.
there's links to all the things, especially if you want to come spin with me. I know you're all dying too.
all right, cool. What's your personal Instagram?
It's just Sloane Dave because like Sloane Davis was taken, so it's SLOANEDAV.
Okay. All right, cool.
Easy
Check
enough.
that out.
Yeah.
We tagged her already blowing the money gun, so
I'm gonna keep blowing it.
You
I'm
can-
gonna blow it until I get kicked out of
you
here.
can reach her. So is that the best way for people to contact you? Just message you on
Yeah,
Instagram?
like, slip into my DMs.
Right.
Oh man. I love
Is
it.
that even what you're supposed to say?
Yeah.
Slide.
Slide.
It's
I'm
slide.
sorry. Wait.
Slide.
Can you reverse that, Christian? Can I get a retake? Slide into my DMs.
There you go.
Nice. You've been living in that retirement community too long, man.
Yeah, slip is like too deep into the bachelor party.
That's funny.
Just slip into my DMs with my money gun. My dad's proud, guys.
That's right. He's walking around the
Does he have a
retirement
face-
community
does he have
with
a
his head
Facebook?
down today.
No, I'm so grateful. My parents have no idea what a podcast is.
Sweet.
I love it.
Sure, we'll make them aware.
Yeah.
We'll send it out there. All right, Sloane, thanks for coming in. Once again, I'm Evan Baumer. Check me out on Instagram at Evan Baumer. What did we say it is? Slide into my DMs.
Slide in. No,
Slip into my
DMs.
That's right.
That's the sensual way to
Yeah.
end
It
it.
is very sensual.
We're gonna slip and slide all day.
It's hilarious.
All right, Mike. Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, this
and
is fun.
Rocking out the.
I'm having another
audio.
cookie right when we end.
Yeah,
I think
definitely.
you should go for the snowman. No, you already had one of those. Get the sandwich guy.
Yes, and for all you kids out there, don't walk away from your family traditions. Keep baking those cookies. One on
Okay,
that
Mr.
note.
Rogers, as he slips on his sweater vest.
That's right. And mullet and open-toed slippers.
There we go.